Bandeham Shigarashi Yata Parakamalam Shigarun Vaishnavam Scha Shirapam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vidam Scha Omagyana Timaranda Shagana Jana Shalakaya Shakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Nama Gurva Bistam Sapurakam Garganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipanam Shirupa Patanagam Govindabidam Ujwalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurunsha Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Baranam Balarka Shelanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shidaram Banchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. So,
Jai Om Vishnu Pada Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
So this is Antya-lila, chapter 7, the meeting of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu and Vallabha Bhatta. Chaitanya Charitamrita Makarananda Liho Bhaje. Chaitanya Charitamrita Makaranda Liho Bhaje. Yesham drasara matrena pamaropi amaro bhavet. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, simply by the causeless mercy of the devotees engaged in licking honey from his lotus feet. Even a fallen soul becomes eternally liberated. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, simply by the causeless mercy of the devotees engaged in licking honey from his lotus feet. Even a fallen soul becomes eternally liberated. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu. Varshantare Jata Goder Bhaktagana Aila Purvavat Mahaprabhu Sabare Milila. The next year, all the devotees of Bengal went to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, and as previously, the Lord met each and every one of them. Emata Bilasa Prabhur Bhaktagan Loya Hinakale Vallabha Bhatta Milila Asya. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu performed his pastimes with his devotees. Then a learned scholar named Vallabha Bhatta went to Jagannath Puri to meet the Lord. So Vallabha Bhatta was mentioned previously in the Antya-lila. He was living near Prayag. And Mahaprabhu went to his house, and actually that Vallabha Bhatta, he's worshipped as one of the acharyas of the Nimbarkacharya Sampradaya, especially in Gujarat. Thus Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes with devotees, and a learned scholar named Vallabha Bhatta went to Jagannath Puri to meet the Lord. Asya Bandila Bhatta Prabhu Charane Prabhu Bhagavat Bhuje Koila Alingane. When Vallabha Bhatta arrived, he offered his obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Accepting him as a great devotee, the Lord embraced him. Manya Kore Prabhu Tare Nikate Basaila Binoy Koriya Bhatta Kohite Lagila. With great respect, Mahaprabhu seated Vallabha Bhatta near him. Then Vallabha Bhatta very humbly began to speak. Bahudin Manorata Toma Dekibare Jagannath Purna Koila Dekilun Tomare. For a long time, he said, I have desired to see you, my Lord. Now Lord Jagannath has fulfilled this desire. Therefore, I am seeing you. So, for a long time, I wanted to come see you. Let's see. So he had traveled to see Mahaprabhu in Puri. Tomara darshna jay pai Sri Bhagavan Tomake dekiye jena sakat Bhagavan. One who is able to get your darshan is fortunate indeed, for you are the Supreme Personality of God in Himself, Sakshat Bhagavan. Tomare jay smarana kore se hoy pavitra darshane pavitra habe ite ki vichitra. Since one who remembers you is purified, why should it be astonishing that one becomes purified by seeing you? Yesham samsmaranat pumsam sadya shudyanti vaigriha kim punar darshanas sparsha para shocha sanadibi. One can immediately purify his entire house simply by remembering exalted personalities, to say nothing of directly seeing them, touching their lotus feet, washing their feet, or offering them places to sit. Kali Kaler Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Mina Nahe Tara Prabhartan. The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement. Taha pravartaila tumi eta pramana Krishna Shakti dharatumi ite nahi ana. You have spread the Sankirtan movement of Krishna consciousness. Therefore it is evident you have been empowered by Lord Krishna. There is no question about it. Jagate korila tumi Krishna nama prakashe Jaitoma deke se Krishna preme bashe. You have manifested the holy name of Krishna throughout the entire world. Anyone who sees you is immediately absorbed in ecstatic love of Krishna. Prema parakasha nahe Krishna shakti bine Krishna ek prema data shastra pramane. Without being especially empowered by Krishna, one cannot manifest ecstatic love of Krishna, for Krishna is the only one who gives ecstatic love. Thus, that is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. Sanvavatara Bahava Pushkara Navasya Sarvato Badra Krishna Anya Kovala Tas Vapi Brahma Dobhavati. There may be many auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Sri Krishna can bestow love of Godhead upon the surrendered souls? Who else can give prema than Krishna himself? Mahaprabhu kaheshuna bhattam mahamati mayabadi sannyasiyami najjani Krishna bhakti. Mahaprabhu replied, My dear Vallabha Bhatta, you are a learned scholar. Kindly listen to me. I am a sannyasi of the Mayavad school. Therefore, I have no chance of knowing what Krishna Bhakti is. Advaita Charya Gosai, Sakarishwar, Tarasangaya Maramana, Hoila Nirmala. Nevertheless, my mind has become purified because I have associated with Advaita Charya, who is directly the Lord himself. Now, here what's following is, which is interesting, Vallabha Bhatta has come and he's glorified Mahaprabhu. But now Mahaprabhu is glorifying all his Saksha devotees, all his Parsha devotees. He's glorifying them. And I've seen this also in the past. I've seen, for instance, persons glorify Srila Sridhar Maharaj. but they didn't glorify who was with him, his devotees and everything. So this is something which I believe that Mahaprabhu is showing. It's not just enough to glorify a person if you don't glorify those if you don't accept or worship those who are dear to him. Because there's the very simple saying, love me, love my dog. So nobody is going to be happy if some glorification is given to that person, but they don't show any appreciation for that person's own family. Then people will not like that. So this is, I believe, what Mahaprabhu is showing here. Mahaprabhu says, how will I know what is Krishna Bhakti? Because I'm a Mayavadi sannyasi. Because in that time, people took sannyas. They maybe in the Ramanuja Sampradaya, they had some persons who were taking sannyas in that Sampradaya. But generally, throughout India at this time, those who took sannyas from a Mayavad sannyasi. There weren't really Gaudiya Vaishnavas persons who were giving sannyas. Now, Now, Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Kesha Bharati, who superficially would appear to have been in the Shankaracharya Sampradaya also. But before Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he said to Kesha Bharati, I had a dream last night that you gave me this mantra. And then he told the Kesha Bharati, he told to the spiritual master the mantra, and then Kesha Bharati said, yes, that's the mantra I'm going to give you. So actually, Mahaprabhu gave to Kesha Bharati the mantra. But here, Advaitacharya Gosai, Sakarishwara, Tarasange, Amaraman, Hoila Nirmala. Nevertheless, my mind has become purified because I have associated with Advaitacharya, who is directly the Lord himself. Sarva Shastre Krishna Bhakti Nahi Janasam Ateva Advaitacharya Taranam. He is unparalleled in his understanding of all the revealed scriptures and the devotional service of Lord Krishna. Therefore, he is called Advaitacharya. Jahara Kripate Mulechera Hoy Krishna Bhakti Ke Kohite Pare Tara Vaishnavata Shakti. He is such a great personality that by his mercy he can convert even the mulechas to the devotional service of Krishna, who therefore can estimate the power of his Vaishnavism. Because it's mentioned that Advaitacharya had been able to convert or convince the mulechas, the Muslims. He had done that. Nityananda Abaduta Sakarishwar Bhavonmade Mata Krishna Primera Sagar. Nityananda Prabhu, the Avadut, is also directly the Lord is also directly Sakarishwara, the Lord himself. He is always intoxicated with the madness of ecstatic love. Indeed, he is an ocean of love of Krishna. Shaddarshana Veta Bhattacharya Sarvabhauma Shaddarshane Jagadguru Bhagavatotama. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya perfectly knows the 6 philosophical theses. He is therefore the spiritual master of the entire world in teaching the 6 paths of philosophy. He is the best of devotees. Tahade. So Mahaprabhu is glorified Vallabha Bhatta. He's glorified him, but at the same time he's showing him, I'm not alone. These other great persons are with me. Teho dekaila more bhakti jogapar taha prasade janilun Krishna bhakti jogasar. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has shown me the limit of devotional service. Only by his mercy have I understood that devotional service to Krishna is the essence of all mystic yoga. Ramananda Rai, Krishna Rasara Nidan, Teho Janila Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan. Srila Ramananda Roy is the ultimate knower of the transcendental mellows of Lord Krishna's devotional service. Krishna Ras, he's an actual knower of Krishna Ras. He has instructed me that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tate Prima Bhakti Purushartha Shiromani Ragamarge Prima Bhakti Sarva Dikajani. Through the mercy of Ramananda Roy, I have understood that ecstatic love of Krishna is the highest goal of life, and that spontaneous love of Krishna is the highest perfection. Purushartha, the goal of life, generally refers to religion, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation. However, above these four kinds of purusharthas, love of God, it stands supreme. It is called Parama Purushartha, the supreme goal of life, or Purushartha Shiromani, the most exalted of all Purusharthas. Lord Krishna is worshipped by regulated devotional service, but the highest perfection of devotional service is spontaneous love of Godhead. And Mahaprabhu says that in his Shastak. He says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadishaya kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvare, babatad bhaktir haituki tvai. He says, these things that he's mentioning represent dharmartha, kama, and moksha. He says, I don't want, he says, nadanam, I do not want wealth, najanam, I don't want followers, nasundarim, or beautiful women, or a beautiful wife, nasundarim, kavitamba jagadishaya kamaye. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktira haitukitwai. Kavitamba jagadishaya kamai. So this idea of kavitam, of being kavi, is associated with liberation. So he's saying, I don't care for these so-called purusharthas, which are mentioned in the Vedas. And in fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, these things are also they're called kaitava. Dharma projita kaitavo tra paramo nirmat saranam satam. They're rejected as kaitavas. Actually, they're called purusharthas, but they're considered cheating. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam rejects it. No. Through the mercy of Ramananda Roy, I've understood that ecstatic love of Krishna is the highest goal of life, and that spontaneous love of Krishna is the highest perfection. Prema Bhakti and Rag Marg. Prema Bhakti is the essence of spontaneous attraction. Rag Marg is Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti, Raga Marg, Prema Bhakti, Sarvadika Jani. Dasya Sakya Vatsalyar Jai Shringar Dasa Sakka Guru Kanta Ashraya Jahar. The servant, friend, superior, or Vatsalyaras, parent, and conjugal lover are the shelters of the transcendental mellows called Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Shringara. Aishwarya Gyan Jukta Kevala Bhava Ar Aishwarya Gyani Napai Brajendra Kumar. There are two kinds of emotion. Bhava, emotion with an understanding of the Lord's full opulence, is called Aishwarya Gyan, Aishwarya Gyan Jukta. And pure uncontaminated emotion is called Kevala. One cannot achieve shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, simply by knowing his opulences. So there's two paths, one of one of Aishvarya Gyan. That leads to Vaikuntha. That's the understanding of the worship with awe, reverence, and opulence. That's Aishvarya Gyan. And higher than that is Jnana Shunya Bhakti, the devotional service with spontaneous attraction, Kevala Bhakti. So those are the two paths, and one leads to Vaikuntha, and the other, the worship in Vrindavan. The devotees are not knowing or not caring that Krishna is God. They're not thinking of Krishna as God. They're thinking of him as their friend or their dear relative or their lover. That's the mood of Vrindavan. Not that they're not worshiping Krishna because he's recognized as Swayam Bhagavan. So, but that is Mahaprabhu's distinguishing that, because in the other sampradayas they tend more towards the Aishvarya Gyan, the worship of Vaikuntha. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Suta Jnaninam Shatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matamiha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to jnanis, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities, by tapasvis, and by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. It's not known by jnana or tapa or atma bhutanam. Those who consider the atma to be themselves. That also refers to impersonalists. They cannot distinguish between Atma and Paramatma. So that's what it also means. Those who consider the body the same as the self, they're Atma Jnanis. Atma Bhuta Shabde Kohe Parishad Gan Aishvarya Jnani Lakmina Paila Brajendra Nandan. The word Atma Bhuta means personal associates. Through the understanding of the Lord's opulence, the goddess of fortune could not receive the shelter of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Nayam Shriyonga U Nitanta Rate Prasada Svaryoshitam Nalina Gandha Rucham Kutonya Rasotsavesha Bhuja Danda Grihita Kanta Labda Shisham Yo Udagad Raja Sundarinam. Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Lila. When Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. My mind is very, very bad because I think of this verse in a particular way. It says, when Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. And I always think, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation, but don't smell so nice. But one should not think of that way. It's just so Shudabhave Sukha Kori Skande Arohan Shudabhave Brajeshwari Korana Bandhan. In pure Krishna consciousness, a friend mounts the shoulder of Krishna and Mother Yashoda binds the Lord. So, Mora Saka Mora Putra E Shudaman Ateva Shukavyasa Kore Prasamsan. In pure Krishna consciousness, without knowledge of the Lord's opulences, a devotee considers Krishna his friend or son. Therefore, this devotional attitude is praised even by Sukadeva Goswami and Vyasadeva, the supreme authority. So, Sakya Ras and Vatsalya Ras, there are two levels of Sakya Ras, because there are friends of Krishna's who think of him as their friend, but they think of him as with Aishvarya Gyan, awe and reverence. But the friends of Krishna in Vrindavan, they don't think of Krishna. They don't think of Krishna as God. They're playing with Krishna and defeating him. So they are thinking, I'm stronger than Krishna. And Krishna would fight on one side. On one side he would have devotees with him, and on the other side was Balaram. And sometimes Balaram's side would win, and then the devotees on Krishna's side then they would have to carry the devotees, the persons on Balaram's side, Krishna's. The losers, they'd have to carry the winners on their shoulders like horses. So one time, Trinavarta, I believe it was, he disguised himself as a cowherd boy, and then he was on Krishna's side, but they lost, and they had to carry, and he had to carry Balaram on his shoulders. And then he felt Balaram to be very heavy, so he expanded himself. It's up to the clouds, said Trinavarta. Was it Trinavarta? No, it's I don't remember. Maybe not. But anyway, the devotee, the friends of Krishna, sometimes they defeat Krishna, and they're thinking, Krishna's not so strong. In pure Krishna consciousness, a friend mounts the shoulder of Krishna, Mother Yashoda binds the Lord. Mora Saka Mora Putra Shudaman Ateva. It's not Trinavarta, it's Vyoma. Maybe Vyoma Sura, I'm not so sure. The whirlwind.
That's Trinavarta.
Huh?
The whirlwind is Trinavarta.
Trinavarta. And who's the other one that... Okay, Mora Saka Mora Putra Eshudaman Ateva Shuka Vyasa Kore Prasamsan. In pure Krishna consciousness, without knowledge of the Lord's opulences, a devotee considers Krishna his friend or son. Therefore, this devotional attitude is praised by Sukadeva Goswami and Vyasadeva, the supreme authority. So you can see that Mahaprabhu is explaining to Vallabha Bhatta, there's so many things to consider. You're worshiping me, praising me, but you also have to consider who are my associates and what is it that what am I worshiping? What am I giving? It's not just enough to praise the Lord. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhujya. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhujya. Dasham gatanam paradaivatena. Maya shritanam naradarakena. sakam vicharu krita punya punja. Neither those who are engaged in self-realization, appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those who are under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. So even Lord Brahma was confused when he saw Krishna playing with the cowherd boys. But in this verse from the Bhagavatam, it says, after accumulating heaps of pious activities, after going to all the holy places, going on pilgrimage previously, through so many lives, those who have achieved this high perfection, now they have taken birth as cowherd boys. You're seeing them to be small boys, but they have come to this exalted position. Traya Chopani Shadbischa Shankya Yogaischa Sattvatai Upagiyamana Mahatmyam Harim Samaya Tatmajam. When Mother Yashoda saw all the universes within Krishna's mouth, she was astonished for the time being. The Lord is worshipped like Indra and other demigods by the followers of the three Vedas who offer him sacrifices. He is worshipped as impersonal Brahman by saintly persons who understand his greatness through studying the Upanishads, as the Purusha by great philosophers who analytically study the universe, and as the all-pervading Supersoul by great yogis, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotees. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda considered the Lord her own son. And this is interesting because when Mother Yashoda saw the Virata Rupa within the mouth of Krishna, it started that Balaram accused Krishna of eating mud. And then Krishna said, that's not true. Balaram's trying to defame me. And then Mother Yashoda said, let's see, open your mouth, because she was thinking she'd see if there was mud. He had been eating mud. But when Krishna opened his mouth, then she saw the whole Virata Rupa and everything. She even saw herself with Krishna on her lap, and all these things she saw within the mouth of Krishna. So what was the effect of that? That's called Yoga Aishvarya. Aishvarya Yoga. What? She saw, that means opulence. She saw this opulence, and that opulence stunted her own personal relationship with Krishna. And so she's practically to the point of offering prayers to Krishna. She's overwhelmed with a sense of majesty and opulence. And then Krishna increases his yoga maya, and then she is able to forget that and return to her maternal relationship of feeding Krishna. But for the moment when she saw the opulence inside the mouth of Krishna, she forgot her own personal relationship with Krishna. And that is the indication is there that knowledge of the Lord's opulence actually interferes with spontaneous devotion. When Mother Yashoda saw all the universes within Krishna's mouth, she was astonished for the time being. The Lord is worshipped like Indra and other demigods by the followers of the three Vedas who offer him sacrifice. He is worshipped as impersonal Brahman by saintly persons who understand his greatness through studying the Upanishads, as the Purusha by great philosophers who analytically study the universe, as the all-pervading Supersoul by great yogis, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotees. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda considered the Lord her own son. She was more than all these great persons. Nandakim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam yashodam va mahabhaga papo yashya stanam hari. O Brahman, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform to receive Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made Krishna call her mother and suck her breasts? Aishvarya Dakilena Sudera Nahi Aishvarya Gyan Ateva Aishvarya Hoite Kevala Bhava Pradhan. Even if a pure devotee sees the opulence of Krishna, he does not accept it. Therefore, pure consciousness is more exalted than consciousness of the Lord's opulence. Esam Shikaila More Raya Ramananda Anargala Rasa Veta Prima Sukhananda. Ramananda Raya is extremely aware of all the different rasas. He is incessantly absorbed in the happiness of ecstatic love of Krishna. It is he who has taught me all this. Kahana Najai Ramanandara Prabhav Raya Prasadi Janilun Brajera Shudabam. It is impossible to describe the influence and knowledge of Ramananda Roy, for only by his mercy have I understood the unalloyed love of the residents of Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu is glorifying Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy objected to that glorification when he was speaking with Mahaprabhu. He said, you're a great personality, exalted sannyasi. And of course the Lord himself, but he said, and I am just a Shudra. And then Mahaprabhu said, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kanino Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Seguru Hoy. Doesn't matter if someone's a Kiba Vipra, if someone's a Brahmin, Kiba Nyasi, or someone's a sannyasi. Now sannyasis would be, in that time we're all Brahmins. Sannyasis were Brahmins. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi. Doesn't matter if I'm considered a Brahmin and a sannyasi, Shudra Kaninoy, and you're considered a Shudra. Doesn't matter, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta. If someone knows Krishna consciousness, the science of Krishna, Krishna Tattva Veta. If someone knows that, Jai Guru, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyashi Shudra Kaninoy, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. Then that person is accepted as a guru. Mahaprabhu spoke, but actually Mahaprabhu was, you could say, putting the words in Ramananda Roy's mouth, because at the beginning of the chapter it says that Mahaprabhu was like the ocean and Ramananda Roy was a cloud, and that cloud is drawing water from the ocean and then pouring water back on the ocean in the form of rain. So Mahaprabhu was that ocean, and Ramananda Roy was drawing all his conclusions and everything from Mahaprabhu himself, but then he's letting that come to back to the ocean in the form of rain. Kahana Najai Ramananda Prabhav Raya Prasadi Chanilun Brajera Shudabab. Ramananda Roy is extremely aware of transcendental mellows. He is incessantly absorbed in the happiness of ecstatic love of Krishna. It is he who has taught me all this. It is impossible to describe the influence and knowledge of Ramananda Roy, for only by his mercy have I understood the unalloyed love of the residents of Vrindavan. Damodar Swarup Prema Rasa Murtiman Jarasange Hoila Braja Madhura Rasagyan. Transcendental mellows of ecstatic love are personified by Swarup Damodar. He's the personification of Prema Rasa Murtiman. Swarup Damodar is the personification of Prema Rasa. By his association, I have understood Vrindavan's transcendental mellow of conjugal love. I've understood Braja Madhura Ras. Shuddha Prema Braja Devir Kamagandahin Krishna Sukha Tatparya Etarachina. The unalloyed love of the gopis and Srimati Radharani is without any trace of material lust. The criterion of such transcendental love is that its only purpose is to satisfy Krishna. Yatte sujata chanarnam buruham staneshu bita shanai priya darimahi karkaseshu tenatavim atasi tad vyatate na kim srit kurpadi bir brahmati dir bhavadayushamna. O clearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our lives rest only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. This is spoken by the gopis. Gopi ganer shuddha prema ishvarya gyanahin premite bhartsana kore etarachina. Obsessed with pure love without knowledge of opulences, the gopis sometimes chastise Krishna. This is a symptom of pure ecstatic love. Pati sutan vaya bratri bandavan ati vilangya tenti achuta tagata gati viras tavodgita mohita kitava yoshita kastyajanishi. O dear Krishna, we gopis have neglected the order of our husbands, sons, family, brothers, and friends, and have left their company to come to you. You know everything about our desires. We have come only because we are attracted by the supreme music of your flute. But you are a great cheater, for who else would give up the company of young girls like us in the dead of night? So when the gopis left everything and went to Krishna, they were drawn by Krishna's flute. When they came there before the Ras Lila, Krishna told them, this is not safe for young girls like you to be out in the dead of night. It's not a safe situation. You should be back in your houses. Then they chastised Krishna when he said that. They said, oh dear Krishna, we gopis have neglected the order of our husbands, sons, family, brothers, and friends, and have left their company to come to you. You know everything about our desires. We have come only because we are attracted by the supreme music of your flute. But you are a great cheater, for who else would give up the company of young girls like us in the dead of night? Sarvotama bhajana e sarva bhakti jini adeva Krishna kohe amito mararini. The conjugal love of the gopis is the most exalted devotional service, surpassing all other methods of bhakti. Therefore, Lord Krishna is obliged to say, my dear gopis, I cannot repay you. Indeed, I am always indebted to you. Na parayeham niravadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibhudayushapiva yan mabhajan duryaja yan mabhajan durjaya geha shringala samvrishya tadva prati yatu sadhuna na parayeham niravadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibhudayushapiva yamabhajam durjaya geha shrinkala samvrishya tadva pratiyatu sadhuna. O gopis, I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. Aishvarya Gyan Hoite Kevala Bhava Pradhan Pritibhite Bhakta Nahi Uddhava Saman. Completely distinct from love of Krishna and opulence, pure love of Krishna, Kevala Bhakti, is on the highest level. On the surface of the world, there is no devotee greater than Uddhava. Kevala Bhav, who's completely distinct from love of Krishna and opulence, pure love of Krishna is on the highest level. On the surface of the world, there is no devotee greater than Uddhava. Tehojara para duli korana pratan sarupera sange pailun e sabashikan. Uddhava desires to take on his head the dust of the gopis' lotus feet. I have learned about all these transcendental loving affairs of Krishna from Swarup Damodar. This is a verse cited by Uddhava, who spoke from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Asamaho charana renu jusha maham sham brindavane kim apiguma latol shadinam yadustyajam svajanam aryapatam shahidva bejur makunda paravim shrutibir vimigriam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to become one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, for the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Uddhava. When Uddhava was sent by Krishna to see the condition of the gopis in Vrindavan, he stayed there for a few months in their association and always talked with them about Krishna. Although this greatly pleased the gopis and other residents of Brajabhumi, Vrindavan, Uddhava saw that the gopis were severely afflicted by their separation from Krishna. Their hearts were so disturbed that their minds were sometimes deranged. Observing the unalloyed devotion and love of the gopis for Krishna, Uddhava desired to become a creeper, a blade of grass, or an herb in Vrindavan, so that sometimes the gopis would trample him and he would receive the dust of their lotus feet on his head. And that's what that verse refers to. That Uddhava prayed to become a plant in Vrindavan so that he could get the dust of the gopis upon his head. Haridas Thakur Maha Bhagavata Pradhan Pratidin Loyate Hotina Lakanam. Haridas Thakur, the teacher of the holy name, is the most exalted of all pure devotees. Every day he chants 300,000 holy names of the Lord. So you can see Mahaprabhu is glorifying all of his close associates to Vallabha Bhatta. He's not just accepting the praise of Vallabha Bhatta, but Mahaprabhu says if you really have you have to understand the glory of Mahaprabhu's devotees. He said Advaita Charya. He said about Ramananda Roy, about Swarup Damodar, about Haridas Thakur, and he continues glorifying others. He says, Namer Mahima Ami Tara Tai Shikilun Tara Prasadi Namer Mahima Janailun. I have learned about the glories of the Lord's holy name from Haridas Thakur, and by his mercy I have understood these glories. Acharya Ratna Acharya Nidhi Pandita Gadadhar Jagadananda Damodar Shankara Brakeshwar Kashishwara Mukunda Vasudeva Morari Arajat Bhaktagan Gode Avatari Krishnanama Prema Loila Krishnanama Prema Koila Jagate Prachar Iha Sabara Sange Krishna Bhakti Jait Amar Acharya Ratna, Acharya Nidhi, Gadadhar Pandit, Jagannananda, Damodar, Shankar, Brikeshwar, Kashishwar, Mukunda, Vasudeva, Murari, and many other devotees have descended in Bengal to preach to everyone the glories of the holy name of Krishna and the value of love for him. I have learned from them the meaning of devotional service to Krishna. So Mahaprabhu is not interested in glorification of himself. He wants to glorify his devotees. And he's teaching Vallabha Bhatta. If you have really appreciation for me, you have to see what these great personalities who are with me, who is with me. In other words, he's not accepting that you can just glorify me and ignore the devotees. Bhattera Hridoye Drida Abhimanjani Bangi Kore Mahaprabhu Kohe Etabani. Knowing that Vallabha Bhatta's heart was full of pride, Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu spoke these words, hinting at how one can learn about devotional service. So it indicates here, although Mahaprabhu accepted that Vallabha Bhatta is like as a Mahabhagavat, he at the same time he's indicating that Vallabha Bhatta's heart is full of pride. That he's thinking of himself as a great jnani, a great scholar, and a great bhakta. And Mahaprabhu doesn't like this. Knowing that Vallabha Bhatta's heart was full of pride, Mahaprabhu spoke these words, hinting at how one can learn about devotional service. Vallabha Bhatta was greatly proud of his knowledge in devotional service, and therefore he wanted to speak about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu without understanding the Lord's position. The Lord therefore hinted in many ways that if Vallabha Bhatta wanted to know what devotional service actually is, he would have to learn from all the devotees he mentioned, beginning with Advaitacharya, Lord Nityananda, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Ramananda Roy. As Swarup Damodar has said, if one wants to learn the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, one must take lessons from a realized soul. One should not proudly think that one can understand the transcendental loving service of the Lord simply by reading books. One must become a servant of a Vaishnava. As Narottam Das Thakur has confirmed, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Peyeche Keba. One cannot be in a transcendental position unless one very faithfully serves a pure Vaishnava. One must accept a Vaishnava Guru, Ado Gurvashrayam. And then by questions and answers, one should gradually learn what pure devotional service to Krishna is. That is called the Parampara system. Ami se Vaishnava Bhakti Siddhanta Sabhajani Ami se Bhagavata Artha Uttama Vakani. Vallabha Bhatta was thinking, I am a great Vaishnava. Having learned all the conclusions of Vaishnava philosophy, I can understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam and explain it very well. That was what his thinking is. Bhatteramanete echila dirga garva prabhura vachana shuni se hoila karva. Such pride had existed for a long time within the mind of Vallabha Bhatta, but as he heard the preaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, his pride was cut down. Prabhura mukhe Vaishnavata shunya sabar bhattera icha hoila tasabare dekibar. When Vallabha Bhatta heard from the mouth of Mahaprabhu about the pure Vaishnavism of all these devotees, he immediately desired to see them. Bhatta kohe esab Vaishnava rahe konstane kon prakare paimu iha sabara darshane. Vallabha Bhatta said, where do all these Vaishnavas live and how can I see them? Prabhu kohe keho gode keho deshantare saba asi jache rata yatra dekibare. Mahaprabhu replied, although some of them live in Bengal and some in other states, they have all come here to see the Ratha Jatra festival. Ihani rohina sabe basa nanastane ihai paibatumi sabaradarshanay. At present they are all living here. Their residences are in various quarters. Here you will get the audience of them all. So Mahaprabhu is telling you you'll be able, they've come for the Puri Ratha Yatra, then you'll be able to meet them. So, Tabe Bhatta Kohe Bahu Vinoy Vachan Bahu Doinya Kore Prabhure Koila Nimantran. Thereafter, with great submission and humility, Vallabha Bhatta invited Mahaprabhu to dine at his home. Aradin Sab Vaishnava Prabhu Staniaila Sabsane Mahaprabhu Bhate Milaila. The next day, when all the Vaishnavas came to the abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, the Lord introduced Vallabha Bhatta to them all. Vaishnavera Teja Deki Bhattera Chamatkar Tasabar Age Bhatta Kadya Yotakar. He was surprised to see the brilliance of their faces. Indeed, among them, Vallabha Bhatta seemed just like a glowworm. Now, glowworm or lightning bug, they sparkle at night, but during the day, the daylight, they just, you can't see that their luminosity. You can't see that they're glowing. They glow at night, but during the day they just look like bugs. So he was surprised to see the brilliance of their faces. Indeed, among them, Vallabha Bhatta seemed just like a glowworm. Tabi Bhatta Bahu Mahaprasharanaila Ganasaham Mahaprabhure Bhojana Koraila. Then Vallabha Bhatta brought in a great quantity of Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasadam and sumptuously fed Mahaprabhu and his associates. Paramananda Puri Sange Sanya Seragan Ekdike Baishe Sab Kurite Bojan. All the sannyasis, associates of Chaitanya Mahprabhu, headed by Paramananda Puri, sat on one side and thus partook of the prasadam. Advaita Nityananda Rai Parshve Duijan Madhya Mahaprabhu Vasila Age Pache Bhaktagan. Mahaprabhu sat in the midst of the devotees. Advaita Acharya and Lord Nityananda each sat on one side of the Lord. The other devotees sat in front of the Lord and behind him. Gaurara Bhakta Jata Kohitena Pari Angane Basila Sab Hoya Sari Sari. The devotees from Bengal, who I'm unable to count, all sat down in lines in the courtyard. Prabhura Bhaktagan Deki Bhattera Chamatkar Pratyeki Sabar Pade Koila Namaskar. When Vallabha Bhatta saw the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, he was greatly surprised, and in devotion he offered his obeisances at the lotus feet of each and every one of them. Swarup Jagannananda Kashishvar Shankar Pariveshana Kore Ara Raghava Damodar. Swarup Damodar, Jagannananda, Kashishwar, and Shankar, along with Raghava and Damodar Pandit, took charge of distributing the prasadam. Mahaprasad, Vallabha Bhatta, Bahunanaila, Prabhu Saha, Sannyasi Gana, Bhojane Basila. Vallabha Bhatta had brought a large quantity of Mahaprasadam offered to Lord Jagannath. Thus all the sannyasis sat down to eat with Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu. Prasad Pai Vaishnava Gana Bole Hari 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 Dwani Ute Sab Brahmanda Bari. Accepting the prasadam, all the Vaishnavas chanted the holy names. Hari, Hari! The rising vibration of the holy name of Hari filled the entire universe. Mala Chandana Govaka Pana Aneka Anila Sabhuja Koribata Nandita Hoila. When all the Vaishnavas had finished eating, Vallabha Bhatta brought a large quantity of garlands, sandalwood pulp, spices, and betel. He worshipped the devotees very respectfully and became extremely happy. Rata Jatra Dine Prabhu Kirtana Rambila Purvavat Shata Sampradaya Prita Korila. On the day of the Ratha Yatra festival, Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu began the congregational chanting. As he had done previously, he divided all the devotees into 7 groups. So Mahaprabhu starts the kirtan, and he has 7 groups organized with mridanga players in each group and dancers and 7 groups. So there's 3 cars, and there, I believe it's four groups around Jagannath, and the other 3 on the 2 sides and behind of all the deities. And Advaita Nityananda Haridas Rakeshwar Shivas Raghava Pandit Gadadhar Shatajanaj Shatatai Korana Nartan Haribo Boli Prabhu Korana Brahman. 7 devotees: Advaita Nityananda Haridas Thakur Rakeshwar, Srivas Thakur, Raghava Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit form 7 groups and began dancing. Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu, chanting Haribo, wandered from one group to another. Choda Madalabaje Ucha Sankirtan Ek Nartakera Premi Bashila Bhuvan. 14 mridangas resounded with the loud congregational chanting, and in each group was a dancer whose dance of ecstatic love inundated the entire world. So there are 2 mridanga players in each of the 7 groups, and a dancer and chanters. Deki Vallabha Bhatta, Hoila Chamatkara, Nande Vivala Nahi, Apana Sambal. Seeing all this, Vallabha Bhatta was completely astonished. He was overwhelmed by transcendental bliss and lost himself. Tabe Mahaprabhu's Savar Nritya Rakila, Purvavat Apane Nritya Korite Lagila. Then Mahaprabhu stopped the dancing of the others as he had done previously. Then Mahaprabhu stopped the dancing of the others, and as he had done previously, personally began to dance. Prabhura Sundarya Deki Ara Premodoi Eta Sakat Krishna Bhattera Hoila Nischoy. Sing the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu and the awakening of his ecstatic love, Vallabha Bhatta concluded, here's Lord Krishna without a doubt. Eta Matarata Jatra Sakala Dekila Prabhura Charitre Bitera Chamatkara Hoila. Thus, Vallabha Bhatta witnessed the car festival. He was simply astonished by the characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu. Yadran Antare Bhatta Jai Mahaprabhu Stane Prabhu Charane Kichu Koila Nivedane. One day after the festival was over, Vallabha Bhatta went to the abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu and submitted a request at the lotus feet of the Lord. Bhagavatera Tikichu Korijachi Likan Apane Mahaprabhu Jade Korana Shravan. I have written some commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, he said. Would your lordship kindly hear it? Prabhu Kohe Bhagavatarta Bhujite Napari Bhagavatarta Shunite Ami Nahi Adhikari. The Lord replied, I do not understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Indeed, I am not a suitable person to hear its meaning. Base Krishna Nama Matra Koriye Grahane Shankya Nama Purnamora Nahi Ratridine. I simply sit and try to chant the holy name of Krishna, and although I chant all day and night, I nevertheless cannot complete the chanting of my prescribed number of rounds. Bhatta Kohe Krishna Namir Arta Vyakyane Matsara Koriyache Taha Koraha Shravane. Vallabha Bhatta said, I have tried to describe elaborately the meaning of Krishna's holy name. Kindly hear the explanation. Prabhu Kohe Krishna Namir Bahu Arta Najani Shama Sundara Yashodananda E Matrajani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I do not accept many different meanings for the holy name of Krishna. I know only that Lord Krishna is Shyamsundar and Yashoda Nandan. That's all I know. Tamala Shamala Tvishi Shri Yashoda Stanam Daye Krishna Namno Ruderiti Sarva Shastra Vinirnaya. The only purport of the holy name of Krishna is that he is dark blue like a tamala tree and is the son of Mother Yashoda. This is the conclusion of all the revealed scriptures. Ayartami Matra Janiye Nirdar Arasarvarte Mora Nahi Adhikar. I conclusively know these two names, Shyamsundar and Yashoda Nandana. I do not accept any other meanings, nor have I the capacity to understand them. Falguprai Bhattera Namadi Sabhyakya Sarvagya Prabhu Jani Tare Korana Upeka. Being omniscient, Sri Chaitanya Mahprabhu could understand that Vallabha Bhatta's explanations of Krishna's name and Srimad Bhagavatam were useless. Therefore, he did not care about them. Bhimana Hanabhata Gela Nijagar Prabhu Vishaye Bhakti Kichu Hoila Antar. When Mahaprabhu rigidly declined to hear his explanation, Vallabha Bhatta went home feeling morose. His faith in the Lord and devotion to him changed. So I'm going to stop here, but Mahaprabhu is dismantling the false pride of Vallabha Bhatta, and he's not able to, at first he has to be, his false pride has to be destroyed, kind of as what happened with Indra. Vallabha Bhatta he thinks himself as too great, and he wants to establish himself as preeminent among all Mahaprabhu's devotees, and Mahaprabhu won't accept him in that way. Mahaprabhu shows him respect, but at the same time, when Vallabha Bhatta exerts his false ego, then Mahaprabhu has to cut that down. And that when I was in India many years ago, that they published from this chapter in the magazine Back to Godhead, and persons from other sampradayas, they really didn't like to hear this.
Vallabha Bhatta, same as Vallabhacharya?
They were persons were very disturbed hearing that. This is what's written. This is written in so many years ago in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Raya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Moham. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jaoite Vignana Shabista Puran Jaoite Vignana Shabista Puran Echai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Echai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Tasabar Para Renu Mora Panchagras Tasabara Para Renu Mora Panchagras Tare Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Tare Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Abilas Janame More Abilas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charan Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Prem Singho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai, Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Ram Mayapur ki jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Kaladvip ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki
Jai.